As he's walking away, he stops and goes, what the fuck?
What the fuck is that?
Checks as a boat appears, but the's no Bray.
Should have been Mike Rotundo.
Captain
Sin, I'm his dad.
What
would have been
better? Bray appears and it's...
Ahoy there!
with Abdullah and
I see you're fighting my son.
Hello and welcome back to the only wrestling podcast that exclusively rebooks, reviews and reimagines the worst of wrestling's past. We are Better Call Creative, and as ever, I am joined to my left by Guy himself, is Sam Chance.
Hello.
And his one-eyed Jack.
Hello.
It's Jack Chance.
Hello.
And I'm your host, Ben Chance, and if that doesn't... Pinhead.
Don't tell you.
He's just calling me a
Don't
pinhead.
just call me a monster wrestler. Julio Demulio.
He had a big eye. But if that doesn't give you an idea, it shouldn't. What we are reviewing today, we are going back only 1 year in our timeline to July 19th, 2020. It's Thunderdome. It's WWE. No, it's not Thunderdome.
No, not
it's,
yet.
yes, it's a performance centre. It's first of Ovation. Performance centre
like
WWE.
smattering of a ball.
And it is Extreme Rules, the horror show. Or is it the horror show at Extreme Rules? Is that how they?
The horror show at Extreme Rulez.
Is that what they said? I thought it was just Extreme Rules, the horror show.
Yeah, no, I think it was
The
the horror
shit
show.
Extreme Rulez.
Yeah,
This was around the time that everything had to have a tagline.
yeah.
Yeah. In your face.
Raw in your face.
Oh God.
Smack down up your arm.
Smack down up your arse. Backlash, the greatest match ever, don't question it.
What,
And then,
money in the bank off the roof.
Jesus. Yes, but we are checking out. I don't know whether it's universally panned, but there's a certain moment in it that we will get to later on. But yes, the world of 1 year ago. Well, not a lot has changed, but topping the UK charts was that well-known song. It was Josh 685 featuring Jason Derulo with Savage Land.
Never heard of it.
Never.
Oh, yeah. Savage Land.
Savage.
Soaring with the eagles and slithering with the snakes.
And not enough said about that. We don't know what the bloody hell they're talking about. The WWE magazine. Anyone want to hazard a guess? It was a thing. Still
Still
going
a thing.
on. Yeah,
Kids though, eh?
Yeah.
So, Ray.
New Day.
No, Roman and Becky. They weren't even
Roman
on
were
the...
even there.
Yeah, I
and
don't-
Becky was pregnant.
Yeah, I don't think either of them were on the product at the time.
They were still trying to sell 2K20, was they?
Oh God, I hope
Oh,
not.
God.
There was glitched on the front of the thing. Roman's eye was out.
Yeah, Becky's face was just elevated up. And the world of sport, in July, it was a thing.
Oh, we were playing.
Yes, it was a thing
I
last
bet we
year.
Old restart.
So the last game for West Bromwich Albion was against Huddersfield away.
Oh, no, don't remind me of that.
Yes,
We lost
and
2-1.
we lost 2-1. And the last game for Liverpool was against Arsenal away, and they lost 3-1. So it wasn't a very fun time for all of us.
We definitely had the worst day, though.
No,
we
that
still
was
won
the
the
day
league.
that we thought.
Have we
that's it.
already won the
Yeah.
league?
You had already won the league.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
You
There
won
was
the
only
league,
2 more games.
You
I
won
think.
the league with fans there, didn't you? You was that far in front.
Well, the last game before fans was Watford, where we lost 3-0.
Yeah.
I mean, you hadn't lost.
We had lost, Watford beat us, and everything went to shit.
Yeah, and then, we,
Nigel Pearson caused the pandemic.
and then we ended up with Extreme Rules,
Yes.
the horror show.
Oh, you were not.
But there you go. Yes, that is the world of 1 year ago. But Jack, I'm going to come to you because I hope without asking, you have a poll offering.
I do.
Oh.
4 albums
Yes.
from around that time.
Ooh.
Not with Eyes or Swamp
Ooh.
or anything like
Bog
that.
fight.
With
COVID music.
COVID music. So, the first album is All Distortions Are Intentional
Yes.
by Neck Deep.
Not a clue. Anyone? Do you know Neck Deep?
I've got 3 of their albums, including this one.
I see they're rock and roll.
No,
Rock and roll!
like, yeah,
Gucci punk.
pop punk,
okay.
pop punk sort of.
Okay.
Blink 182-ish.
Oh,
So what is it?
okay.
By necking?
By necking. By Neck Deep.
Yes.
The next album is The Kingdom by Bush.
Yeah, no Bush.
So enjoyed that.
I listened to a bit of Bush at work the other day.
Bush is alright.
Yeah.
So,
What about Wacker?
Bush and Whacker.
You don't want to be a
That's the sister band. The next album, Sam.
It's
will like this one.
like the Wario version.
Bush and Wacker.
Whack!
He's drunk, folks.
Sam will enjoy this one. It's 2020 by Ronan Keating.
Oh,
They're still around.
It's
Still on that bench in Notting Hill.
July.
Why did he remind people of that year
It's
as well?
amazing now.
That's the song.
That's it. It just keeps releasing that.
Remastering it.
Is it?
Remember me? I
Falls
got
over in front of a car every now and then as well.
Has he done a? Has he done another version of Father and Son with another person? They just keep re-releasing it.
Granddad and grandson.
And the last album is A Hero's Death by Fontaine's DC.
Oh, okay. I have heard of those.
They are
So
very good.
we'll see. I have a sneaky feeling though. It
Ronan
might be
Keating.
Ronan Keating. But we'll find out. Cause,
Irish population.
well, definitely.
Population.
Well,
Know what I mean.
we're big with Louis Walsh. But if you want to give Jack a vote, head over to our Twitter page now, which is at BCCPod. Drop us a vote there. And the reviews themselves are housed on our website, which is bettercallcreative.com. So we are ready for the Extreme Rulez horror show. Sam, I believe this is the first time you and I would have watched this event.
Yes.
And Jack,
That's
19th
reasonable.
time.
Yeah, I loved it that much. I kept watching it.
It got me through lockdown.
So we open up on a promo straight out of a horror show. We see footage style clips of skulls, bloody walls, and crocodiles. We eventually get the build for Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman in the bog fight. Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio in the Nick Knowles named Eye for an Eye match. Asuka versus Sasha, and finally, Sam's favourite, Dolph Ziggler
Could have been me. Fuck.
versus Drew McIntyre. We do get one final jump scare, which they then use all the way through the woman.
Is it Sting?
You bloody shouldn't have
Is
been
it Sting crying it?
Yeah, that like just a yelp by a lady. And the colour scheme, you know,
Purple and green.
yeah, it's a bit weird for a
It's
horror.
job centre.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very job centre-ish
It's the first
actually.
time they'd had it, because it's usually red and black.
Yeah, I don't really think it goes with the horror show thing, to be
Oh.
honest.
So I think it works anyway.
No, I don't like
with
it.
the horror show theme. When
Well-
the horror bit is red.
I mean, I know they've got a free license at the moment to do pretty much whatever they want, but when they open and they've got all the big CGI stuff and it's all colourful, and you start with the New Day, which is also colourful, it's just like Taste the Rainbow, and it happened on my TV screen.
Too many skittles.
Yeah, but 8-armed Big E is shown on the screen with a very yellow New Day, who are the SmackDown
SmackDown
Tag Team Championships. Who's our hosts for the evening? Do you know who's? Yeah, it's Cole.
For
and-
SmackDown.
Well, of course, yes, I should say for SmackDown. And sponsoring the event.
Oh, fuck me, what was it now?
They sponsor every event.
Capital G.
Snickers. Snickers. It's always Snickers. Nuts. What is it? What was that one where?
You're not you when you're hungry.
What was that one where JR went mental?
Skittles.
Skittles.
Oh,
Fruity.
they're fruity! Delicious! They're fruity! That's Skittles!
Good old JR. And they start out by throwing their jackets at Corey Graves. I think that was something
That
they
was a
did.
thing.
Yeah, quite regularly.
Every week.
And their opponents are Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. As Cole recaps the build, basically, tag team titles match 2 weeks ago descended into chaos, and the New Day went through some tables. So it is a tables match. However, tornado rules, but only one of the team has to go through the tables. So Kofi starts us off with a nice double stomp and a belly-to-belly by Big E, puts the champs on top. Cole tells us that the contenders need to earn respect and win the match, which basically sounds like, you can go on about it all you want, but they're a bit shit. Don't keep putting them over. The boards of the Performance Centre are used. I wonder if we'll see that at all throughout the night. So that's not a DQ, obviously. You're all right to throw them into some plastic boards.
We will get to that.
Very flimsy stuff.
Yeah. Nice drop kick to the face of Cesaro. The planted crowd as well really does feel like video game crowd, don't they? If you look at it, they're all going,
except for what's his name, he does the guitar and stuff.
Yeah, they just do my head in a bit because
Eric
it's
Bugenhagen, but he's changed his name now, but I'm still.
Just Bogan or something.
No, it's like Rick Boogs or something.
That's it. Yeah, they've cut his name.
I refuse to accept that name.
First tease of a table spot, but Nakamura saves Cesaro. Kofi is isolated in the ring, but Big E blocks a double suplex spot, and Nakamura blocks a powerbomb spot. There's a really nice spear through the ropes by Big E to the outside on Cesaro. I know he didn't land on his face, I know that. Kofi then gets planted into the table by the heels as the match twists and turns. Big E blocks a suplex on Kofi. We get our first sickening thud to the jaw. And
sickening
a botch spot, I'd presume, on a double suplex as Nakamura doesn't sort of follow Cesaro into the ring. I think they were supposed to do a double suplex by Big E. But for some reason, Nakamura just goes,
Cesaro
fuck this.
Does it. Naka goes, damn.
Damn, all right. Yeah. And he hits a shining wizard to begin.
Can I go surfing?
The champs start building momentum, stomping and kicking the heels after a big top rope dive by Kofi to the outside. Kofi does a nice hype job, but the suplex again is blocked. Lovely swing into double knees by the heels. Kofi rallies and hits a leaping headbutt into Cesaro. I like that Michael Cole calls Nakamura Shin.
Yeah,
just calls him Shin. Go on, Shin.
Shin. Don't call him Naka.
Don't call him Naka.
The end spot sees Kofi going for the Hurricane Rana from the top, but Cesaro power blocks it. Shinsuke gets up, gives him a kick to the belly welly, and a powerhouse of a power bomb through the double stack tables on the outside. And we have new tag team champions. And do you know what the weird quirk is of Extreme Rules at this point?
Is it that the tag champs have switched hands on every one?
Every table?
No, it's that Nakamura won the IC title at 2018, or the US title. The US title or the IC title in 2019, and they won the tag team titles in 2020. They won a belt at
every Extreme Rules
that he's been on.
So every title run he's had, he's won it.
When's Extreme Rules? What's Extreme Rules?
July.
That's when he gets his release. That's the thing he's been looking forward to the most.
205. 205 Naka.
It's probably Divas title 8 or something like that. Just Sam,
24/7 total.
Sam, I'll throw to you first. First time you've seen this match.
Yes. I actually quite like this match with all of them. I think I like the ending at the end. I know there was all the false finish, but you can't go wrong with these four, to be honest. And the powerbomb through the two tables, which is kind of a overused spot, setting up two tables, not going through for ages, and you think, well, I'm definitely going to be used somehow. And the fact that only one has to go through, I can sort of understand why, but I don't know. I think it should have been both have to go through. More drama.
You pretty much
cut
said
Dolph's match down by about 15 minutes.
You've said exactly what I said. Is that I like the match. It's a very perfectly, acceptable opener. Good, fast-paced. The four are just so good. I mean, all four of them could easily have world title runs. There's no concern with that.
One already has.
Not the one you would have expected as well. And the I do prefer tornado style matches in tables, but you probably could have had a bit more drama with the multiple table spots if you'd have had that both partners need to go in through. It's a very small gripe. It's probably not going to make top 50 of all these people, but at the same time, it was a steady match. Jack?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought it was well paced, good spots, teasing going through the tables. Yes, you could have had both hafting it through, but I don't think that hampered the match too much. But you got 4 solid workers who are always going to give you a solid match. So to open the show with that, I thought was the right call. And the right call to switch the belts to Cesaro and Shin.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with New Day is they are just so good as a tag team. Yeah. They're always going to be a go back to. I mean, how many times have they won it now?
This is
10 or 11.
10th, I think.
10th.
Well, I don't know, because they had the SmackDown, then they just switched them with the Street Profits. They went, we're on a red brand now, so we need the red belts, and you have the blue belts.
I think.
I don't know whether that counts as another reign.
I think it is.
Well,
I think
there's
they
10
do
then,
count it,
10.
because it's technically different belts. Because the actual tag belts, they only count the WWE title. Yeah. So in theory, the very first tag champs in WWE was Angle. And Benoit, or Angle and Stevie Richards.
What?
Because he's Benoit.
Oh, I was thinking
Angle and Angle.
It was Angle on his own.
Angle and Vacant.
So basically, that's what the WWE didn't have tag champs up until 2002. So the TLC match was for nothing at 17, and all the Demolition never happened. Road Warriors have never won.
They don't recognise.
They do recognise.
They do recognise, but
don't continue that.
Yeah. So that title in effect is.
Yeah. But the tag champs, which was on SmackDown, the WWE tag champs, is actually now the Raw tag champs.
Right.
That carries on. The SmackDown ones are brand new.
That's the problem. It's got very convoluted title pictures and stuff. It's like the US title.
It's because they did the brand split, then they put them together.
And now they've done another brand split.
Just creates
the US title is a bit more succinct because it's just, we bought in the US title, this is it. But you sort of link it to the old WCW one.
So, in the back, before we go to the back, Cesaro tells off Michael Cole, and then we go to the back and see Nikki Cross, who's getting hyped up by Bliss, Asuka, and Kairi saying,
repeat after me. Believe and you can achieve. Believe and I can achieve. Tonight, I will beat Bayley. Tonight, I will beat Bayley. I have faith in myself. I have faith in myself. Tonight is my night. Tonight is my night. Oh, thanks, guys. I feel my confidence is getting better. I feel good. I feel better.
You're ready. It's because you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready. We believe in you. Guys, I'm feeling invincible. I'm feeling good. Let's go.
But even if you lose, we will still be your friends. Go, Nikki. You got it. You can do it.
Basic comedy spot.
It is a weird moment.
And then Kairi basically tells her, well, don't matter if you lose, we're still your friend.
Love you. We're your friend.
I'm fucking absurd anyway.
I love Kairi saying.
It was weird.
So
good.
Good.
Really get that.
No, it was. Especially where the match goes as well. But
it's the fact that coming out of it, they don't feud.
No.
You would think, this is setting up for Nikki and Alexa versus them, but they're on different shows for the start.
I thought Alexa was hyping all of them up, not just Nikki Cross.
At first, I did as well.
Thought that and thought, how far has Asuka fell that Alexa's having to hype her up?
Yeah.
You're the women's champ.
A year before, though, she was in a women's battle royal at WrestleMania. That's
true,
and they didn't even win it.
Yeah.
So the best thing about the Performance Centre, the Performance Centre era, was definitely Bayley and Sasha, who are out next. The story of the match seems to be Bayley not really having any fear of Nikki Cross. We get our championship introductions for the SmackDown Women's Championship match. So it's a story-driven opener as Bayley and Sasha mock Nikki, only to end up with a slap round the chops. A tease of a quick win as Cross gets a swinging neck breaker, the near fall. This is an issue that I have with Michael Cole. We always go on about the Vince. He got him. And Michael Cole goes like 0 to 60, doesn't he? Nikki Cross going to win it. Nikki Cross going to win it.
She did a move. She did a move.
He just-
she didn't win.
Just calm down.
Now let's talk
calm
about
down.
insurance from Autosave.
From Churchill.
Multiple crossbody finishing with one to the outside and a second sickening thud of the night. Bailey takes control though, using the boards. Pace slows as Bailey grounds Nikki, and she uses the apron skirting to beat down on Nikki. Nikki crawls through the ring, or under the ring, through to the other side and catches Bailey in the ring skirt, and they wrestle again. Nikki teases the crossface. Bailey hits the Bailey to belly. Only to get a 2 though. Am I wrong in thinking that's not her finish anymore?
It's not
then?
anymore.
No.
It's what. Well, we'll see the finish.
Yeah. But it just annoyed me. I thought it was the finish, so.
Well, it's better than a new heel finish. Basically, she
Just
turned
to kick him in
heel
the
and
back.
she wanted.
Kick him in the back of the head, do you?
It's the
Face
headlock
plant.
drive thingy with the neck.
I prefer the
They
Bailey
did
to
it
belly.
Super Showdown. We watched it there.
But I suppose the Bailey to belly is more of a face kind of move. I can understand that it's more of a face move. Nikki tries a quick roll up as Bailey jaws at Michael Cole. I do like their dynamic. Bailey always giving him shit. Bailey is slammed into the ring post, or whatever they call the ring post now, which is just like a big advertising board, isn't it?
Ring tower.
Yeah. Nikki builds her comeback with clotheslines and a running bulldog. Bailey slows the build, but then goes face first on a charge into the middle turnbuckle. The twisting neck breaker off the apron to the floor, which is very nice. Nikki only gets a 2 though when they make it back inside. Bailey crawls over to Sasha, and this allows the typical old school heel spot where the heel gets the knuckle duster. Bailey lays in a shot to the belly welly again, and Bailey hits the. Is it called the face planter?
I don't know what it's called. I don't think it's got an actual name.
I
I think they just call it the face plant.
I think they called it the face
I don't know,
planter
they're
because
gonna
that's
call
what
it
I wrote it down as. So, and I wouldn't know it any different.
Just some sort of driver, right? That's all it is. The driver.
I prefer the Bailey to belly anyway, and Bailey has retained her title. Jack, go to you first.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's, it's a very B show.
Yeah.
No jeopardy that she's going to lose the belt. Just as match for somebody lesser on the card to have a title match and show that she's decent. So it wasn't too bad. Nothing special, but nothing wrong with it either.
Sam?
Yeah, you could tell it was a B show match, and they just needed somebody to feud with Bailey until the inevitable split happened.
One of your boys
Yes.
in this as well, though?
Yeah. What's happened to her? Is her injured?
No, I was doing a degree here, getting some sort of law degree.
Trying to get out of there.
So I've got out of there.
I mean, the only thing I'll say, I agree with you really with what you said, Jack, is that, there's always a placeholder match in any card, any pay-per-view card, and this is obviously it. How many in history second matches on a pay-per-view card do you think would be like the Hall of Fame? They're all the second match of the card is always the come down match. So it was obviously that the pace was a bit too slow for me. But they're both good workers. Nikki's a very good worker, very story driven, and Bailey is just, you could put Bailey in the ring with anyone at this time and she would have made it work. So I don't think it didn't work. I just don't think it's massively memorable. We'll probably forget that we reviewed this match in a few months.
More than likely.
So, moving forward, we get full-on black and white Hammer House style horror promo now. It's a creepy lab, and it's Bray Wyatt doing his Firefly Funhouse.
We're really glad that you're our friend.
Good evening, my frightened fireflies, and welcome back to the horror show at Extreme Rulez. It has been a ghastly, ghouly evening so far, but the worst is yet to come. as I present to you the most horrifying, revolting, disgusting footage known to man.
Welcome to the first ever SmackDown Karaoke Showdown.
Hey, you stupid rabbit. You know that was the wrong tape. I understand what you're trying to do here. You know what you did. You know... Don't divert your eyes. Don't stifle your blood-curdling screams. You are about to bear witness to something never before seen. A little lost sheep that became a great, big monster coming back home. Home to the swamp that made him. Home to his creator who put the whole world in his hands. Home to a past that he will not be able to escape.
He hopes the most disgusting footage ever. And he shows us the karaoke spot from 2 weeks ago. I like how WWE are poking fun at the product that is currently happening. Not like they've gone back and showed Val Venus's cock or anything. This is like literally
Just
did this.
Was that something that get Bischoff fired, or was it Bruce that first did this?
I think it was Bruce who did this.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a Bischoff thing.
I've seen that, so I was here watching it within that karaoke.
I haven't seen it.
You know, awful.
I thought they was going to show it, so I
was only to turn Lacey heel.
Yeah. Is that all it was?
That's all it was.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Or Dana. I think Dana might have turned heel and all.
Who cares?
All right, Sam.
I quite like Dana Brooke.
No, don't mind Dana Brooke. I just think who cares?
Nah. Bray tells off Silly Wabbit, and Bray carries on building to the swamp fight between him and Braun later on, warning that there will be no escape. Samoa Joe looks like, what the fuck am I doing here? And we have the Raw announce team give us the information on what's going on with the US title match. Apollo didn't pass his pre-match medical. I wonder what that means.
Yeah.
And he's out of the match tonight, so we get...
He turned up, I want a fight, he did not pass.
Was Apollo the champ?
Yeah.
So this is a abdication.
No. This is just a US title match, but that was the first time you saw the new belt. Well, he debuted it on the show before.
Yeah,
I'll get to your thoughts
MVP
on the belt.
apparently had this belt meant to for it.
I shall get to your thoughts on the belt later on. So yes, he didn't pass his medical. We get to the build. We get the build to this.
The paperwork didn't get through before midnight.
We get the build for this match, which is basically Apollo turning down a spot in the Hurt Business and getting taken out by the almighty Bobby Lashley. Is this the sort of start of Bobby Lashley's run?
He fought Drew the pay-per-view before.
I wonder when that'll happen again.
Okay.
Yeah. And then...
I'll do now as well.
And then after that, he sort of just became MVP's muscle for a little bit.
Did they do a thing with where he officially just broke the thing off with Lana?
Yeah, because they just heard him say, "I want a divorce," and then that was it. They never really had a divorce or anything like that. It was just we're ending this because it's been a bit shit.
I'm glad.
Basically, we're ending this because the face who we were feuding with has been released.
Yeah.
So there's no point for it anymore.
They chuckle before MVP announces himself as the US champion. Thoughts on the belt?
Shit.
Yeah, Sam.
I don't like any of the new belts. The Inter is shit. The US is shit.
What about the 24/7?
That is terrible. That just looks like a discarded baked bean tin lid. The tag belts have always been shit.
Yeah, the tag belt, the big penny belts.
Making them silver kind of made them a little bit better.
Well, they don't.
Well,
more unique, but they're still
more
shit.
unique, but they're still shit. The design.
I like the WWE title.
The WWE title, not really got. I don't know.
Do you like wrestling?
Even I'm questioning that sometimes. I don't know, they're just very generic, and when they try and be different, no.
I don't like the US title. I
The
think
US is the worst one, I think.
Yeah. I don't mind the new Inter. I can understand it's a real change.
Well,
but the US
the
title
change because it was the old version, but I just don't get it.
The US title looks to me like it's been made in some woodwork class by a 12-year-old.
Mr. Badland.
Yeah. Got the glue gun out and stuck some letters on. Jack?
See, I don't hate it, but I think the old design is better. I ain't got a problem changing anything if it makes it better, but I think that the old design is better, so why change it?
I agree.
I think there's some bits that you could, like the star bit at the top, but I think just put blue behind it or something. I think that might make it stand out a little bit more, but
especially because
little things can make it slightly better, but
especially because there is definition in the US title in that it is USA title.
Yeah.
So just make it look, all patriotic.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if they did the European title, if they changed that. Really,
the UK title's a good belt.
That's a good one.
That's a very good one.
How long before they changed
exactly. It? Good old pound coin.
Good old pound coin.
Fuck your dad.
Well, it's an old pound coin now,
We'll bring a secondary in a bit based off of 50p or something.
Or the £2 coin.
So, we get the hype package for the first, and so far only, eye for an eye match.
It is extreme, and it will be horrific.
An eye for an eye. An eye for an eye.
An eye.
An eye for an eye. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? You know what that means. I know what it means. An eye for an eye. I know what it means. I'm trying to understand how we got to this point. Rey Mysterio sacrificed himself for the future of Monday Night Raw.
Damn you for everything you got my family through. Right. Something needs to be done about him.
Dominic is an adult. He can either stand by me.
Someone from this family.
Or he can become a sacrifice as well.
An eye.
Dominic all over Seth Rollins.
For an eye.
The Monday Night Messiah has messed with the wrong family.
I want you to know, Ray, that whatever becomes of your son, that is on you. Seth Rollins tried to end my career. Terrorize my family.
Now Rollins is gonna make Ray watch. Don't do it. Carrillo running off the Messiah.
You put your hands on my son. You crossed every line there is to cross.
Stop to Carrillo.
Now it's my turn. Extreme Rulez is called the horror show. And that's exactly what it's going to be. I'm gonna make a sacrifice of my own. I will be forced to rip, tear, and gouge. You're walking into our match with 2 eyes? Until he is completely blind. But you'll be carried out with only one.
There will be no forgiveness, no atonement. It is ordained by fate.
Eye for an eye.
You see the build, which introduces Dominic being a character on TV, stopping his stepdad, obviously, from having his eye hurt by Seth. We get told that the match is an eye for an eye, so the winner will remove the loser's eye, obviously. Moving forward, the Monday Night Messiah is out.
So that escalated quickly. I don't like you. Well, I can take your eye out tonight.
Well, seems reasonable. The Monday Night Messiah is out, and he has some pliers. Nothing more extreme than a DIY tool. Should have come out with a Phillips screwdriver. Todd Phillips.
Or a plunger.
Todd Phillips as well is very disgusted by him having pliers. He's really angry about that.
God.
What's he bringing pliers for?
How dare you try and remove his eye? That's the name of the match.
So, yes, Rey Mysterio's music hits, but he jumps Seth Rollins from behind, and we are off. Rollins recovers, though, and goes for the eye early on. Ray hits a Hurricane Rana, sending Seth into the advertising post again. Goes for the pliers. Ray, though, he's bought a toolbox. He just bought a little bit of pliers.
Just bringing pliers, you prat.
And what does every good toolbox have? A bit of steel.
A poker. A poker for the fair.
So he uses the poker, but Seth grabs that other ring tool, a kendo stick, and whacks him. 619 is teased early on, but eventually leads to a Falcon Arrow on the apron.
Well, let's say Falcon Arrow, but it's the greetings from Asbury Park.
Oh, is that what it's at? What that?
It's Bam Bam's finish, basically.
Do you think so? Because I thought it was more suplexy than Bam Bam's finish.
When he said it, I thought, now, Mike Tenay in me was annoyed at that point.
Well, I'm not going to argue with the Mike Tenay of the podcast.
Deathmatch wrestling.
Deathmatch wrestling expert of the podcast was annoyed.
One thing we can agree on, though, it's the hardest part of the ring. Everyone tells you that. Evil Seth Rollins stalking Ray, saying, I'm going to get that eye. I love that.
Seth, what a man.
Seth continues to work towards the eye using the kendo stick before tossing Ray under the ropes into a flat table, which is the third but slightly more amended sick thud. Not sickening, it's just a sick thud.
Ah, thud!
Seth uses a steel chair now to hold Ray down. I'm gonna get it! He keeps screaming.
I'll get you.
Samoa Joe is furious at Seth using his pen on Ray as well.
That's my pen! Bastard!
Ray hits a drop toe hold onto the point of the table. It's so coincidental that spot is the first time it's ever been hit directly onto someone's eye in a match, isn't it? That, but
we should have got up and just his nose is bleeding. Oh, my nose!
His nose come out!
Oh, my nose!
That don't count.
That's not the rules.
My nose is up on my forehead.
Seth attempts now to tie Ray up using some rope, but once again gets head scissored into the post. Samoa Joe tells us that Ray will have an upset tummy after the kendo stick shot.
Oh, I've got the shit.
That's the thing he's got to worry about the most after this match.
Oh, I'm going to have the shit later.
I shouldn't have had that correct.
There's a creative tease of a charge into the kendo stick, which is sort of set up as a lance in the corner, which I did like. We saw what happened with the See No Evil on that as well. Because his mum went directly into that.
It's still hanging there in the hotel.
Ray gets froggy, even. Seth hits an alley-oop. I do hope Big Show when he has his first I hope WWE said, well, we've copyrighted the show slam. You can have the alley-oop.
Got the final cut.
Ray counters a stomp into a tornado DDT. Stiff looking shot by Ray with that kendo stick when he's on Seth's shoulders and he goes big on his head. It looked really stiff. He staggers Seth, who goes into a 619. We tease and build over to the steps now as Ray counters an attack into a stomp of his own. Ray shows us the damage Seth did and to his eye because he's got cane eye, hasn't he?
Yeah, he did damage to his eye. He's blind in the eye.
Is that what he's saying? He's actually blind in that eye?
I think it was that he was blind or he'd lost vision in that eye.
Yeah.
So basically, this match is a bit soft because I've already knackered you one eye. So technically, I've won.
I think the idea was he was going to go for the other eye. That was the plan, because he goes on about him never seeing his son's wedding and all that sort of stuff.
He wanted to set the other eye, but he take.
Yeah.
Take the other eye.
Yeah, but he went for the other eye.
He went for the wrong one.
Instead.
God,
Seth, you're an idiot.
Seth hits his own stomp and he drags Ray over. I didn't like how sort of pathetically cowardly Ray sounded with the no. That sort of took it away, especially because he's the face. I could understand if he was completely out and he did it. But I don't like the fact that Ray looked like a frightened child. It didn't.
Do you think he should have done like a Nicolas Cage in The Wicker Man, where he goes, not the bees, not the steps. Oh, not the steps.
So we see
dangerous tool of them all.
We see Seth push Ray's head onto the steps, and after a bit of tease, Ray's holding
A golf ball.
No, obviously his eye has actually come out and also doubled in size from what it would have been.
How big's that eye?
Yeah. Seth vomits as Ray is helped out by medics and Dominic, and Seth walks out in sort of Game of Thrones shame kind of thing.
Shame. I won the match. That was the point.
I've just put good brawl, nice spots, but they booked themselves completely and utterly into a corner, and they didn't have the budget to make it look any good, and therefore, typically, this match will always go down in infamy, and people will miss what was a really good match between two really good workers. Jack?
Yeah, thank God it's them two, because, I mean, it don't ever work, but the match is very good. But you will only ever remember the end of Ray's fake eye coming out, which is amazing, but also terrible. And then Seth throwing up and the shame spot I like. But
I did like the throwing up and the shame.
You can do near enough anything in wrestling, but if you're going to have a bloke who's going to have his eye removed, unless he is actually having his eye removed next week, how the bloody hell do you carry on with this character?
Let's call Vader.
Because now he's got both eyes out and he's fine. So, I mean, they do a promo after where they just say, "Oh, if you reattach it, it'll be absolutely fine." So, this match is pointless.
I've seen
all I did was puppy.
I've seen prosthetics though and stuff like you could have had proper
a hanging eye.
Not maybe a hanging eye, but just sort of bulging eye, and then they obviously explain later why he has still got an eye. So they could have got around that, but you've got to spend them if you're going to have this gimmick. You've got to spend them, but you can't just wake up the morning of the show and go, "Get me a golf ball."
This is a basketball. I don't care.
It's only the era where you can cut and feed something in because you've got all plants in the crowd as well. So
we see after anyway they could have fought backstage and it go into a cinematic thing. There's so much they could have done and they just went cheap at the end and that sort of took it away. And it's a weird thing where you could have this as both the worst and the best match of the night again. It's weird. Sam?
The way they booked it by saying somebody's got to have their eye removed, if they just said because of what Seth did, it's built, like the greatest wrestling match. This match is built as eye for an eye because of what Seth did to Ray's eye. So it's just an Extreme Rules match. I'm going to do to you what you did to me. Fine. Then you could have just done that and then have him do the same thing again to the same eye. If you wanted to win, instead of saying, "Oh, somebody's got to have their eye ripped from the red," which you can't really do.
I love the fact that they do the shame spot, which is a good spot.
It's a good spot.
What if Ray won? Would they all have cheered? Yes! Yeah, the bastard's got one eye now.
Yeah,
that's true because Ray at all points was trying to take his eye.
Yeah,
so it does. It's very questionable.
That's
this booking
in all honesty. If I was Seth, I'd have gone, "Well, I won the match." So, that was the point.
I chose this.
Yeah, that was the point of the
Ray,
match.
I don't know what
I mean, you could have the eye for an eye as just a tagline and not say, "Oh yeah, you've got to have your eye ripped out," because then where do you go?
Eye on a pole.
Well, I think the biggest problem is as well with this
I'm going
booking.
to cut off your toe.
I think the biggest problem with this booking is that other than Ray getting the revenge, which is obviously the way they weren't going to go, this has to carry on. But whatever way it now carries on.
It carried on. It played over to SmackDown.
Yeah, but whichever way it carries on, how do you get more extreme within a feud than taking someone's eyeball? I mean, you know what I mean? There's nowhere really you can go other than starting to create.
I want your wisdom teeth.
Daughter falls in love with
Murphy.
with your disciple.
Yeah. Daughter falls in love with future Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal contestant Murphy. So we move forward.
Bailey, you attained what some may say was a nefarious victory earlier tonight, but after what just happened to Rey Mysterio, it must be hard to...
Yeah, look, I know. Yeah, I was a huge fan of Rey Mysterio growing up. He's, one of my favorites, so... Look, Ray, I know you have a long road ahead of you, and I don't even know if you'll get a chance to watch this, but I hope you do. I just want to tell you that you're not seeing double vision because I am still Bailey Dose Straps. And now, let me introduce to you my best friend, the legit boss, the standard, the blueprint, and soon to be 2 belts Banks, Sasha Banks. Now that's how you do an introduction, Kayla. Do you have any more questions for us? No. Because I'm the ultimate role model. I've already beat everybody. I already annihilated Nikki Cross today. I couldn't have beat her any easier. You should go check on her because I think she's a little hurt. And after Sasha beats Asuka tonight, we are going to hold all the gold and everything's going to be right in the world.
That's exactly right, Kayla. So go get the champagne and put it on ice and bring it ringside because in just a couple minutes, I will become 2 belts Banks, which means it's time to celebrate. Bye.
Woo! Gotta go.
Bailey is backstage. We get some somber comments from her before she twists and flips it and says Ray isn't seeing double. She's got the double strap. She introduces the soon-to-be double-strapped Sasha Banks. Really great heel work by Bailey. It's so good as a heel.
She was the best thing in the company at this point.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Sasha cuts a very basic sort of heel promo. We get the promo for main event of the evening. It's the Swamp Fight.
Bomb fight.
I'll say this, though.
It was years ago, in that fitted maw of a swamp, that I met the evil incarnate, the split-tongued father of lies, the eater of worlds.
The world is a very scary place.
Stop lying to your children!
The ones who are meant to protect you are the ones that you should fear most. All that you shall leave behind is smoke, desolation, and damnation.
I became his horseman, the bringer of pain and pestilence, the apocalypse. I loved every second of it. I've done everything in my power to lock that side of me away.
Here comes the monster among men! Strowman is annihilating everything in his path. A monster of a universal champion!
For years, his siren songs were silenced through whisper. But then...
What's wrong, brother? You look like you've seen a ghost. Now, in order for us to move forward, we must first take a step back to where it all began.
You know where to find me! To destroy him, I must become him.
I created you, Braun. Therefore, it is my duty to destroy you.
I must drown the serpent in his own savage swamp.
This is a place where all the horrors of the world feel right at home.
I am ready to walk through the gates of hell and slap the devil himself in his face.
That monster that I created is just waiting to come home.
I had to go home and end him before he ends me. Let's go home. Run.
I mean, it's nice hype and an interesting story about Braun's beginnings, the reintroduction of Bray Wyatt as a usable character as well.
Yeah.
After he'd been completely lampooned for such a long time.
The Bray cut him.
The build to it was fine.
The promos
was really good.
The promos that WWE does, especially as someone who doesn't watch it every day, like, I want to watch the match now because of that promo.
To be honest, even really around that time, I think anytime, even on YouTube, just watching Bray's promos, just to see, because I think they give him more free reign, except when Goldberg comes around.
Is that Johnny Cash's sequel? When Goldberg comes around.
When Goldberg comes around, I ain't fucking fighting him.
Braun was getting very comfortable as well, being at the top of the card at this point.
Yeah, well, we'll
and
get
he had
to
the
Braun.
perfect foil with Bray, but obviously
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. So our next match is Sasha Banks versus Asuka for the Raw Women's title. There is an old school hookup which starts to build to Banks taking down Asuka. She gets a kick to the face. The Banks statement is locked in early on, but Asuka makes the ropes, causing the boss to stomp on the hands of Asuka. Near falls and bridges lead to an armbar being locked in, but Banks makes the rope also. They battle on the floor, and a sliding knee by Asuka lays out Banks. Nice work by Sasha to the ribs of Asuka using the steel buckles. Banks then goes all Pete Dunne and starts dislocating and threatening to bite the fingers of Asuka.
I'm going to bite your fingers.
Sasha works over the arms of Banks, but Asuka fights back and hits the Asher Kong spinning back slap. Why is it only women do that anyway, though? Jericho did it, didn't he?
Jericho did an elbow.
It's just an elbow.
I
love that move.
Oh, they see the do is Jackie Chan.
Seeing as Jackie Chan was just like a pose, and then he's went in Australia. Amazing.
I thought he was in China. It was tag match. Or
I hope he comes back and starts using it.
Yeah. I'd love him to do it.
I'm doing a film with Jackie Chan, so this is my new finish.
There's a lovely Codebreaker style double knees by Asuka into the corner onto Banks. Powerbomb now into the hockey style boards, and a frog splash gets a 2. Banks statement is locked in again, but Asuka makes the ropes once again. We get what I think is almost like a Sean Bulldog spot where both shoulders are down on a German, but he's broken up at 2. Some back and forth near falls on a German from Asuka and a sidestep by Banks. We build up top, but Banks blocks a superplex. Slow but nice spot as Sasha leaps out of a super German and hits double knees, but now we get the botch. But in fairness to Sasha, because the move had all been, she just survived that and landed on a knee, then she'd hit the knee, she sells the knee. So it's really good work, I think, to cover up that obvious botch. The chicken wing is locked in by Asuka. Is that her finish?
Yeah, it's the Asuka lock.
Asuka lock. Well, I'm still giving props to Bob. Bailey tries to distract the ref, but Kairi Sane pulls her down. The Bailey to belly, which couldn't keep Nikki Cross down for a 3 count. That's the end of Kairi Sane. She ain't going up tonight. She's out.
Was on the floor.
Well, that's true. That padded floor. Visual win by Asuka as Banks taps out to the Asuka lock, but Bailey tosses in the tag belt. The ref spots Bailey, and Asuka gives her a kick. Sasha then teases using the other belt, but Asuka sneaks up behind her. She goes for the mist, but Sasha ducks, and the referee is blinded. Bailey then clocks Asuka with the belt, and I say clocks when you see the replays, not the sweetest of shots.
Pretty hard.
No, but that lays out Asuka. Bailey nicks the referee's shirt, and Bailey is now the referee and counts the pinfall, so we presumably have a new women's title holder. I think the only problem with this is it feels a bit Scott Steiner, the Steiners versus the Outsiders at Sold Out, in that you kind of know where this storyline is going. But Sam?
Good match, shit finish. Really, because of where it led. Because that led to the whole Stephanie McMahon thing.
Oh, why do you always have to get Stephanie involved
this
in
is
shit?
Technically classed as a no contest.
She's the second. Where was she in the top 50 women? She's got to be in the top 20. For fuck's sake. I mean,
yeah, it's just the match was alright, but I think because I was looking at what the matches was before I'd reviewed it, and I saw what the result was, and it said no contest. I kind of went in going, okay, I know it's 20 minutes, but it leads to this no contest.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a waste of time, really.
Well, I thought it was slightly better and a more creative finish than that. It's very heelish. Bailey gets up. Yeah. You even put more heel heat on Bailey without her being involved directly in the match. I think there was actually more legs in them both having all the belts. It shouldn't happen very often, I don't think. But I think with the women's at this point, they were so dominant, especially with Becky Lee being Charlotte not being there. If you'd have just put all the belts on them and let them brag, and then let the cracks form between them because of that, it probably would have had more merit than sort of, doing this sort of back and forth tease spot, and you know what's going to happen on SmackDown. You know what I mean? It was a bit weak for me. Jack?
I thought it started well and it ended up a train wreck. I thought it was a bit oil and water at times. They didn't mesh well. There was a few spots where they sort of fucked them up with a German and then over convoluted on the apron and on the top and all this sort of stuff. Then the finish, I know a wig comes loose, which is why she's holding her head. And then at the end, when you hear the cameraman whistle to say celebrate, and hers already fucked off. So the last shot is Bailey waving in the back, celebrating, which is amazing. But the finish was, it's a bit of a cop-out. You're either going to put the belt on her and then just have Asuka win it back at some point, which is probably what would have happened, or just have Asuka win.
Yeah.
I don't see the point in trying to create more jeopardy between the two with this false finish, and then next week the inventor of women, Stephanie McMahon, turns up and says you've actually got to fight for the belt again, and then Asuka's just going to win anyway. So
yeah, well, I think it does Sasha no service, because then you have two matches where Sasha doesn't win at all, because you saw her not win this. And then you've got to retcon it by having a rematch where she can't win again. So you just
done better with having the German as the finish, have it count to 3, and then you could do like the Luger Brett thing at the Rumble where you're trying to look at cameras and you can't get a clear shot. So then just say we can't determine whose shoulders was down fully for the 3. So
and also as well, it is okay sometimes for heels to cheat and win. That's the point of heels, isn't it?
That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to break rules and win matches.
That if that happens sometimes, then it's fine as far as I'm concerned. But we are where we are, I suppose. Moving forward, the official song for the show. Remember?
Kevin Rudolph.
Watch me now.
Watch me now.
Watch me now.
When I saw that, I thought he's still around. Kevin Rudolph.
Well, throughout the show, they're playing the Black Keys there at times.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
And Kevin Rudolph. They never advertised the Black Keys though.
So Kevin Rudolph. We get an update on Ray. We get an update on Ray's condition. Carly tells us that Ray may not have lost the sight in his eye or his eye, and everything is still connected, and so the whole match was pointless.
He may not have lost the sight in his eye, that he already lost the sight
in his eye, and also he hasn't lost the eye.
And his eye ain't fine, even though it's come out.
Yeah.
You pathetic set.
We're now told the hook for the WWE title match, which is that Dolph has yet to name the stipulation for his match with Drew.
It took me 19 years to get my first WWE championship.
Drew McIntyre fulfills his destiny.
I am not just on top of the mountain.
Drew McIntyre showing that he is indeed WWE champion.
Drew McIntyre is the damn mountain.
Claymore and Drew McIntyre is still your WWE champion.
To all the superstars out there, if you deserve an opportunity at the title, you get an opportunity.
You've forgotten the Drew McIntyre comeback story? Years ago, you were here and you got fired. You came to Monday Night Raw because of me. You and I went on to become dominant tag team champions because of me. And now you are the WWE champion because of me. While you were shuffling around trying to find yourself, I was here. For 15 years, I have been a part of some of the most unforgettable moments in WWE history.
Dolph Ziggler is Mr. Money in the Bank. We got us a new world champion.
All I ask is what I am owed. A WWE title match.
You've become exactly what we used to despise. You have become an entitled jackass. Being that we're family, I'm going to allow you to pick the stipulation of our match. At Extreme Rules, you're going to lose, and it's going to be because of me.
To put that big of a stipulation in the hands of Dolph Ziggler is crazy.
That's not how this works. Close, Dolph.
What does this mean on the way towards Extreme Rules?
Very, very close.
I allowed Dolph to pick the stipulation for our match. He could technically pick a cage match. He could pick a no-holds-barred match. And it'd be the same result every single time. Drew McIntyre would still be the WWE champion at the end.
The stipulation that I chose for the horror show Extreme Rules is a secret. You are the same old Drew McIntyre. You are a backstabber.
It's a nice revisionist history there. You use people, Dolph. I was your hired gun, your muscle. I did all the dirty work for you. The horror show that's Extreme Rules, I'm going to name you, and I am going to torture you. And it's going to be because of me.
So what stipulation will Dolph Ziggler pick for his WWE title opportunity against Drew McIntyre?
Drew, I created you. And at Extreme Rules, I will destroy you.
So he's walking into it blind. We get a promo and are reminded of their past as a tag team, of Drew's 15-year history. I didn't remember all this, so again, the WWE did a really good job of sort of linking Dolph and Drew as a team previously and all that sort of stuff, to the point where I actually wanted to see the match, and I couldn't even remember this match existed about a week ago. So, yeah, Dolph Ziggler is out, and Sam rejoices.
Right.
Dolph announces the rules for the match. It's Extreme Rules. Even Drew looks and goes, oh, for fuck's sake.
That's great.
Yes, great. I'm going to break him. But
Yeah, Mason Ryan.
but Drew can't use any weapons, and if he gets counted out, he loses the world title. So Dolph is thinking 2 steps ahead of Drew McIntyre. I actually, and we'll talk about it later, but I'm going to put it out there, I think that's really good book. Anyway.
Good booking, but it makes Dolph look like a fucking moron that he didn't win with all these rules that he made.
How do you know he won against the
yeah, and
it's Dolph, he never wins.
And the ship has sailed on Dolph Ziggler having any...
Dolph Ziggler hasn't been relevant or good since 2013.
Yeah, well...
Ever since his brain fell out his head. Then, you know... I have no time or patience for Dolph. So let's hurry this up.
So Drew dominates early on. Dolph cheeses a chair, but Drew blocks it. He hits a vicious belly to belly, and I mean fucking Brock Lesnar style. Fucking. Drew is dominant with a clothesline to... Drew is dominant early on. He's clotheslines Dolph to the outside. Staple of every match as the boards are used again, and presumably that's not a DQ. Dolph now sets up the table, but Drew reverses it, teases a suplex, but turns mid-air. Again, really good character work that is to, fuck's sake, I couldn't do that. Drew talks smack to him, but gets... fuck me, I mean, that low blow... He don't pull it.
Yeah.
He looks like he kicks him in the balls.
Kick him in the ball.
Like, kicks him full on in the dick.
Why do you keep kicking him in the dick?
Chairs are brought into split play. There's a nice spot which sees Dolph smash a chair onto the corner of another chair, which is set up on the throat of Drew. Drew launches Dolph over the announce desk with a belly-to-belly. Dolph then hits a Faymaster from the announce desk onto the floor, but Drew manages to beat the count. Drew slingshots Dolph into the boards again, and no DQ again. So Drew hits a reverse Alabama Slam, which is good. I do like... I thought, when I read it, I was thinking Dolph didn't do that, but obviously, because there's 2 dudes...
I'll just call it a face slam, because I couldn't remember what the name was.
No, it's a reverse Alabama.
I was trying to be clever, and instead of putting Alabama slam, I was just going to write it backwards, because it's reversed.
You was going to write it back?
Yeah.
On your own
then try and announce and try and pronounce it.
Man, you are.
Playing games with his own notes. Drew...
Alabama.
Drew teases the Claymore, but Dolph blocks it and hits a zigzag. But we know, having seen enough Dolph, that no one ever loses to the zigzag.
Everyone has seen enough Dolph.
Yeah.
Release this man.
There's a big, huge Macho Man elbow on the outside through the table onto Drew. They battle inside, and Drew hits a Scottish kiss. Dolph rallies, hits another zigzag onto the chair, this time only for a 2. Nice, why won't you die from Dolph.
Yeah, I thought, bloody hell, he probably got some shit for that backstage.
Well, Peacock could have edited out.
Why won't you lose? Why won't you, WWE Network, on Peacock?
The super kick is teased, but the Claymore is hit, and it's hit. It's very slappy of leg, though.
Oh, yes.
And Drew wins the match. I'm going to save you, Sam. Because no, in fact, I'm not. I'm going to start with you because we all know where you're going to go.
Yeah,
you're going to rant.
I just hate Dolph Ziggler so much. I know you've got to try and disassociate the man from the character, but even though
Why'd you hate the man?
I can just hear the back go, well, the best way I can get a good match out. No, because just fuck off already. Just go. You shit. You're not even good as a stand-up comic. Just go. Go away and leave us all
Did you
alone.
watch it comedy and it was shit and you hate him for that?
I've not even watched that, but I know it's shit. Go to AEW so I don't have to watch you on that either.
Well done, I will be doing
Is
a
that
load
what
of...
Exactly, that's what I mean.
As soon as Dolph
I
goes
want
to
to not be
AEW,
able
this
to
becomes
watch
an
it on
AEW
Tuesday.
podcast.
I mean, your brother ain't no better, but you know, just
The Hollywood Hunk!
fuck off.
He's got the same gimmick.
Exactly.
Jack.
Well, I thought it was good. I think it's a good B-show title match. There's no chance he's going to win, but you're always going to get a good match from Dolph. Regardless of Sam's rant, he's always going to be a good match. Drew was getting better and better. He had good spots with the suplex where he turned.
It's the same match.
He did the suplex where he turned round, which was good, and all them sort of spots where he wanted to use weapons, but he couldn't. Got him over as a badass. Does make Dolph look a bit of an idiot by not saying, I'm going to have your arms tied behind your back. But that's the booking, of the heel. They have to be a bit soft. But for the most part, I thought it was a good, solid title match that continues Drew's reign.
I have to say, I was very, very, very impressed. I actually like the styles. I thought they blended well.
Yeah.
I like the jeopardy of the match for Drew, because you've got the whole point of this is you can't save Dolph now. I take the point that he's too far gone. You ain't
character.
He just ain't gonna win them. He ain't gonna win the match.
But that tried that and that day work.
No, I know, but at this point,
No, I mean fully no longer Dolph Ziggler. He's a different person altogether.
That wouldn't work.
I think you know.
Because it wouldn't.
Stop hating him so much.
I think if you're clouded
He
by
thinks bumping works, but it don't. He's trying to be sure without the psychology.
I think there is psychology. I thought his styles blended well. The thing is, you have to add all this stipulation to make it believable that Dolph would have a chance against Drew anyway, which then causes a problem when he loses, I appreciate. But it doesn't matter that Dolph loses, because no one's going to book this.
Oh, yeah, not that he lost.
Dolph
wins. If he's the heel, unless you play into him saying, I'm going to beat you with all these rules against you, and I want to beat you clean instead of having your arms tied behind your back. Because if I was a heel, I would say, your legs are tied together, your arms are tied behind your back, and I'm just going to pin you.
Yeah, there is always that, but that's like the heel authority figure in it. Why didn't Vince McMahon just book Austin in a 20-on-1 match every night until he had the belt?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You've got to suspend your belief a tiny bit in terms of that. And I think it was good. The only thing I would say is that I probably would have done more spots with Dolph whacking him with chairs and Drew teasing that, more count-out spots, all that sort of stuff. I think the Claymore is a really good finish. It's such a good finish.
Moves like that where you can do that nowhere on anybody, he's always a top finisher.
And he's obviously, I haven't watched a lot of Drew's run as a title holder, but he looks like a believable champion. Definitely looks like a believable champion.
They're built in properly.
So, we move forward to our main event. Corey and Cole do the final hype job. We get a shot of Bray Wyatt in his rocking chair as a car approaches. It's always weird, isn't it, seeing wrestlers driving cars? It's strange.
Oh, that car just ran over our chair!
Braun...
a big cage. What wrong house to say?
Braun in his cap.
Run over Bray in the chair.
Braun in his cap hops out. Braun says he's home as the lights go out, and Bray disappears, but the chair still rocks. Braun tosses about the henchman into an abandoned all hope sign, and then Braun goes hunting Wyatt's. We see hogs. And vultures and rabbits and hired goons attack and Firefly Bray cheers on Braun. Topless Braun now gets hit on the back of the head with a shovel, and it's all very weird talking about this. Like it's a mess.
This is a match.
Yeah. By what turns out to be
Braun himself.
Yeah.
Old Braun.
Oh, it's old Braun.
Yeah.
He's got
Old Braun with his pea pants.
He's got tits. One clunk of the head later, and the next time we see him, he's tied to a chair with a solitary bulb.
Did he play a tape going, I want to play a game?
Well, I liked his decor. You've seen what I've done? I've hung little bits of doll above you. Bray enters.
That's how she tattoos figures later. No one will understand that.
One day they
Were
might.
there a lot of sheep masks around?
I think there was.
Was that Eric Rowan's shed? Eric Rowan's been fired. I'm having his shed.
Had Rowan gone at this point?
He was in the April firings. Or
Poor Rowan.
Red beard.
Which you can see on our YouTube channel where we talk about the.
That you talk about.
Well, I do, yes. And sound depressed.
Yes, you do.
Bray enters to his music, his cool theme. Braun calls Bray a bastard. Braun then tells Bray he hates him for everything he made him do, which he said on SmackDown he actually liked doing. So I'll just ignore that plot hole, shall I?
And if you hate this, why did you say I'm home?
Yeah, it's all a bit weird. Bray plays mind games, telling him that when the fans are fed up of him, he'll be left with nothing. He goes full on preacher mode, telling him to join him. It's fantastic promo by Bray, showing Bray completely evil, crazy bastard. Braun tells Bray he won't go back to doing his bidding, which brings in a weird woman with a snake, which it's not very like Jake the Snake Macho Man-esque biting, is it? This snake.
No,
this is
strange.
Well,
it's all strange.
Yeah, I'm going to walk up to him and rub it on his chest.
And then he goes,
He's a bat, knitted.
When he wakes up, he's by a campfire, still fighting henchmen.
I'm so confused by that.
He kicks one.
Did
of
he
him.
lose a life and get back a couple of levels? Is that what happened?
I got really confused.
Is this like Streets of Rage? You get so far and you have to get back. Why don't you just press A and the police come with a big cannon?
Bray should have walked in with them like sheer gloves on. He starts fighting the henchman again, and he. Oh god, this is where I think it starts to lose a bit of steam. As he sets one of them on fire, kicks him into the fire, but the acting of the bloke who's on fire is terrible. Just sort of wanders around.
Whoa!
Yeah, so clunky.
Just the big arms in the air. Calm down, calm down.
Yeah.
I'm on fire. I'm on fire. And I don't. Braun laughs.
Terrible. Sister Abigail is shown to be Alexa Bliss, who Braun has been sort of
Mixed
caught
match.
in and mixed matched with.
It was my challenge.
He tells her. She tells him to follow her. From the mist, Bray attacks, but he's chokeslammed onto a boat. Why do all of these matches have a boat?
Because of Matt Hardy, we thought we could steal that.
So the boat is motored away as Braun smirks. But for some reason, as he's walking away, he stops and goes, what the fuck?
What the fuck is that?
Checks as a boat appears, but there's no Bray.
Should have been Mike Rotundo. Captain's here, I'm his dad.
That would have been better.
Bray appears and it's...
Ahoy there!
With Abdullah and...
I see you're fighting my son.
That would have been awesome.
I'm assuming that was how
awesome.
he cut his promos.
Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Yeah, but Mike Rotundo had been released during the...
he went it all.
Everybody got fucking hell. Bray appears...
It got Bo, though.
Could have been Bro, the who's him? Who was that?
Who's him?
Never heard of you.
Fucking Bo.
Bray appears and hits him with an oar. He drowns Braun in the swamp until they have still waters. But Braun reappears and coughs and splutters. as he looks up at Bray. He beats him up on a platform with an oar, and then Braun stands up as Bray chuckles. Bray is kicked off a pier into the swamp below. Braun then says it's over as the signature for the WWE comes up. But horror character Bray appears, pulls him into the waters. The waters go still, but then start to boil red, and our final shot is of the Fiend leaving the waters, which, to all extensive purposes, means that Bray won the match.
Yeah.
But this was an title.
Yeah, and both of them lost. They both died.
Because apparently this is the worst cinematic match.
I really liked it. I will go on to say this. I think it's as good as the Boneyard match.
Oh, you're mad!
I do, honestly. I think there's a lot. It's a lot more consistent than
A man caught fire and flapped around.
Yeah. So I mean, they tried too much here.
It fits with the characters because the Boneyard match really.
He beat himself up. Explain other Braun.
Well, I think it could have been that he was seeing
other Braun there.
He could have been seeing another giant henchman, and in his mind he'd sort of
who is
seeing
Snake?
him for what he was.
Who is Snake?
Well, it's Bray, isn't it, in drag? We know
that should have done that.
Yeah, maybe.
That could have been one thing they did, was have that little bit.
I think it's not, there's better bits in this than the Boneyard match, but there's a lot more worse
Was
bits.
it the doll hanging up?
Oh, I think the promo's better. The best bit of it is the promo by Bray.
Bray's always Mikey.
And the horror story-esque ending shot is good. It's just the way that we get there I would rebook, which we'll get on to later. But I'll go on as far as to say this is not the worst. Even if it is
the worst one is the Street Profits being the Viking Raiders. I don't care, that class is a match. Shit. Where they end up in a bin.
Yeah,
I thought it was classed as a match.
It's just skits.
Yeah, but it was still shit.
Yeah, and also Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton in the first sort of. When he's in best.
Chamber of Secrets. What was it called?
The House of Horrors.
Yeah. House of Horrors.
I mean, that ain't quite cinematic.
That was 2017.
It was in his house, and he
exactly
with a fridge door.
And that is definitely worse than this.
That is worse than this.
From Helmet.
I thought. I honestly didn't think it was that bad. But
in a wardrobe drawing pictures on the painting.
I put that. I like most part of it. They like the snake. They like the fire spot. But cinematic matches are hard to do perfectly. It's probably too long, but then you've got to fill this pay-per-view with it. So it's going to be
the whole thing based around it.
Exactly. So it's hard to do a full horror story in 20 minutes and get everything out.
And if you ain't got a crowd, you've got to do stuff like this, So.
But I don't think it was that bad. Sam.
No, I quite enjoyed it, and seeing old Bray as well. He sort of helped get him back in, so you can go back to that character if need be.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, "Oh, he's completely dead." So then you've just got kids presenter Bray and the Fiend, but you've got this other one you could fit in wherever you need to.
Yeah.
Because if he did lose, it wouldn't hurt anything.
And the fact as well with Braun, he can lose as old Bray Wyatt.
Old Bray because he's lost so much before. But as well with, I think Braun said something like sending him back to hell, meaning that Bray really is dead.
Yeah.
Because of the promos he took, so he's sort of come back. So you can still use that storyline even in cinematic matches. So I quite like that.
Jack.
And he's brave.
I don't hate the concept. I don't hate some of the execution.
Yeah.
I don't like other Braun appearing and randomly hitting him with a spade.
Maybe.
I don't like man on fire running around for 5
that was
minutes.
awful.
I don't really get the snake biting him and then he wakes up by the fire. I don't particularly like some of that stuff. And the fighting bit was a bit too short for the whole thing. The promo in it's brilliant because it's Bray. And he's obviously very good on the stick. I ain't got a problem with the Fiend appearing at the end because that ties into the next arc of their story, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think that it's a good concept, but they sort of fell flat in areas. There's too many goon bits where you just beat up some goons, and I still cannot get my head around why Braun hit himself and the snake.
woman. Just
Wouldn't it? Wouldn't
wakes
it
up by a fire.
It would have
So
been
what's
better
this?
getting. I mean, I know they've
Get him
referenced
Rowan
it.
in.
Get Rowan back
That's
with
right.
the sheep. Have him the one hit him. Have him surprised to see him back, and
Yeah.
then have him go.
Well, they had Heath there then 2 weeks before on Raw fighting Drew.
Yeah, exactly.
It's typical WWE though, really, isn't it? And they missed the trick, really, because obviously you had Luke Harper as well. You see
He'd
what they're
already
doing.
gone to
No, but what I'm saying is, you've seen what they've done now with Jericho and stuff. There's no reason, you've got to be sensible here. If you said to Luke Harper, we'll give you a few $100,000 to do a quick spot on this, or whatever. And it makes sense from a storyline perspective. It ain't going to work no one if they see Luke Harper on the TV and then he disappears.
Because
Same
it's your
with that.
character on your show, which will help build your business.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
the people,
they're
the
independent
hardcore, but
Well,
as well,
exactly,
let's say we are.
Are they?
We ain't that bothered about the hardcore people. We want the casual people. Well, surely the casual ones will probably recognise Luke Harper from the Wyatt family. So
No, they want to see Papa Shango.
well, probably Max Moon. But,
I think I would have had Max Moon on this as well. That would have added to
I would have definitely
Where
had
was
If we'd have
Wayland
kicked Max
Mercy?
Moon
They
into
could
the
have had
fire.
him.
If they had Captain
Dan
Mike
Spivey,
Rotundo,
he's still alive. Still
if
around.
Captain Mike Rotundo drove off on the boat at the end, like Minty and Gary down the barge or whatever it was.
That's
in
what they should have
EastEnders,
done,
I'd love that.
like the scene. And
With Wayland Mercy, Dan Spivey, Captain Mike Rotundo on the boat.
what they should have done is it should have ended on Friday the 13th. It should have ended with Mike Rotundo peacefully on this boat leaving, and then the Fiend comes and pulls him under. And that builds,
And then
that
it
builds
winks
to
at the camera.
that builds to SummerSlam. IRS versus the Fiend.
And then Roman spears IRS.
What the people want to see. So there you have it. That is the Extreme Rules horror show done and dusted. Overall, I'll go to you first, Jack. Obviously you've seen it before, but thoughts on the show as a whole?
It's an adequate network special. If I'm okay watching it if I've paid $9.99 a month for the network and I get everything else. But if I'm paying £20 or $40 just for this, I'd be very annoyed because you've got a couple of matches that you already know the finish, and then the other matches that you buy the pay-per-view for were a bit of a letdown, I would say.
I'll take that point. I actually thought, probably I don't watch as much modern day wrestling, but I thought for a sort of B pay-per-view, it's probably a solid B plus show in that it didn't over excel or over deliver, but it gave you what you expected for this kind of show. I don't necessarily think that this would be something we would have picked out to review ever in our arc had it not been
Why
for
did
the
you
stupid eye
For
thing
the swamp and the
and maybe the swamp, but even the swamp I don't think is that bad.
Bog eye.
It's more. I think the swamp is compared unfairly to the boneyard match, and they're two different concepts, and they don't work. In fact, I would argue that the fucking fighting in Vince's room and
that's worse.
The Money in the Bank.
That's probably worse.
They only compare it because they're both cinematic, but you wouldn't compare, a main event to another random.
It's like comparing
match with
Vince and Hogan to Steamboat and Savage.
Yeah,
the
you
two
wouldn't compare
different
it,
matches,
just 'cause
and I would
they both
argue
happen in a
both of
ring
them are
don't
fun.
mean that they're the same.
Exactly. Jack, Sam.
It's adequate for what it was and at the time with what they had to work with. That's all I can say, really. It's just, it's what they can work with, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It is hard. It is hard when you haven't got Becky, you haven't got Roman, you haven't got.
And your roster's depleted anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
of
But then they did have Andrade never use him, so bollocks to him. Moving forward, the round table. I'll start with you first, Jack, then I think. Match of the night?
It's difficult, really, because without the end, I would say Ray and Seth, but I'm going to go Drew and Dolph.
So I might 2 for that, which is
SmackDown tag.
The opener.
Yeah.
It's
The
reasonable.
SmackDown women's
I know Sam's the worst.
could have been, because I like Nikki Cross, but again, it was too much of a B show. The eye for an eye because of the Saft concept behind it. Raw women's because it was no contest, and I don't like Dolph. So SmackDown tag.
Worst match of the night?
I'm going to go. It would be eye for an eye because of the finish, but I'm going to go for Asuka's session.
Well, I've gone Bailey and Nikki just because of the pace in the match, but that's not to say I thought it was a bad match at all. I just think on this card it was the come down spot.
Yeah.
And that was it. Sam?
I ain't saying it. I agree. The SmackDown Women's.
Yeah.
I like them both, so
it is harsh.
It's the flattest match out of the three.
It's just
because I mean, at least with the Asuka Sasha match, there's the thing of if Sasha wins, then they've got all the belts, which are has anyway. So this was just pointless. Why not just give the belt here? But you know, it's the flattest one.
Seems reasonable. MVP. Sam's going to hate me when he says my MVP.
Well, I know yours then. It's Michael Cole. I'm going to go for Ray, because I think he did well with what he was given.
He certainly did well in the match. I think in the order that I saw, it's Dolph, Bailey, Sasha. That would be my order. But if I had to give it one, it'd be Dolph. Sam?
Bailey.
Snake Woman.
Nearly said Bray, because I mean, at least he made the bog fight, but Bailey, because I think did it over.
I've got no issues with Bailey. Bailey was the star of the WWE for most of the performance centre stuff.
Yeah.
LVP? I know what mine is.
Is it my MVP?
That is the bloke who got kicked into the fire. I hated his acting. He took away from the cinematic story.
Wavy arm, man.
It looked like what the typical, like when they did the "Don't try this at home" and Kane set the man on fire, and then it come underneath saying, "This is a trained actor.
This is a stunt man. Don't try this at home."
It was obviously a stunt man, so you know why are you trying to take me out of it? Yeah, that's mine.
See, I think it's difficult really because I don't think anybody come out looking particularly bad or Ray.
We had one on.
I'm going to go Sasha.
Sasha?
Yeah, I think she fucked up a few spots and the wig come off. So
well, it deserves it then.
I'm going Seth because he didn't take Ray's eye out and he didn't lose the vision in the eye. He already lost the vision. Seth is an idiot.
Seems reasonable. So. There you have it, folks. We now take it in turns to rebook Extreme Rulez horror show and do it better. I'm going to open up because I have to be honest.
I've just done an 8-match card. That's it.
Well, I've done a card as well. But in trying to do it better, I think I can because I can add a few notes. I have done it exactly the same.
So you haven't rebooked it?
Nothing has changed in terms of matches. Purely and simply because I don't think there's anything massively on the card. Oh, there is a slight change.
Not in terms of when you're going into the show.
It isn't like the people you can I'm thinking, why didn't you? Yeah, why didn't you use him? Why didn't you use that? You probably could get into that. If you've watched the product religiously, you probably would know better as well. But
yeah,
I don't think anything was that bad. Nothing was that so bad that I thought, well, you need to check them out and that dose it there. So. The opener would be the New Day versus Cesaro and Nakamura. My changes would be that it would be double tables in terms of elimination.
Yeah.
And have more table spots, but it would stay Tornado. Bailey versus Nikki would be faster paced and 5 minutes shorter. But I would have more aggression from Nikki, sort of nothing to lose, and sort of taking Bailey by every time Bailey thinks she's on top, she rallies and comes back. But I would still have Bailey cheat to win and ultimately retain the title. MVP coming out for his US title match, but Ricochet gets involved, talks smack to MVP, tells him to earn it. This would be a really short skit, but I would want MVP to get a visual win to become champion. So I'd have him beat Ricochet after Bobby Lashley has dumped a load of heat on himself as the heater spot, lays out Ricochet. MVP wins the belt. Seth v. Ray, the first part of the match would be in the ring. The end, because I'm not going to book the eye for an eye out of it. It is a nice enough hook. The end of it would be cinematic with much better prosthetics and much more an impactful end spot. So if you do it cinematic, you can do what you want as far as I'm concerned. If you're limiting it to the ring, you've got to use the steps. So yeah, I'd have it cinematic at the end. But I would still have Seth win. And I would have obviously Ray's eye come out a la Vader, a little bulgy eye.
Yeah.
Sasha versus Asuka. Sasha wins the match. Similar ending, but I'd have the ref count it. Typical old school, can't really see what's going on, been blinded, but I'm still going to do my job as a ref. And Sasha wins the championships. I'd do that to keep, and I'd keep them going into SummerSlam and probably throughout. Bailey and Sasha as the champs until Charlotte starts coming back. Asuka can be your main contender, and the cracks start to show as who's going to be the one to let the team down and all that sort of stuff. In fact, I mean, as good as Bianca Belair is, because that storyline is strong, I think there's an argument to say that that's your main event for WrestleMania from a women's point of view, but we are where we are. Drew versus Dolph, I would actually change very little. I think I'd have more hardcore teases, more count-out teases, but I'd have Drew retain. The Swamp fight, definitely would have Braun not say he's happy about killing people for Bray or whatever he did in the build-up. Have him ashamed of being the monster he was. Now he's a more refined monster. He's got the belt. Doesn't want to go back to it. Play up to Bray being in Braun's head. I'd tease him tossing the henchman onto the fire, but he fights down the monster's urges. So the old monster might have threw in the fire, but he'd stopped. So we don't have to.
Roddy Piper with the bell-esque.
Exactly, yeah. Bray is angry, keeps playing mind games before they fight up to a much higher pier spot. Bray starts to cower as he gets near, but Braun sort of stops him falling, doesn't want to let him go. As he gets him back up, he starts to do his preaching again, and he knows the only way I'm going to be able to get Bray out of my head is by killing Bray. So I would have him kill the Bray character, goes into hell, walks off. I've finished it, a la Hulk, sad Hulk. But the spot at the end, it's nothing to do with Braun, but Bray survived because the Fiend comes out the water. It doesn't matter. There's no end. No one has to win this match. Braun's accepted. He's got to be a bit of a monster to kill off people like Bray. Bray as a character has gone to hell, which you can play up in the future. I thought I killed you, blah, 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 blah. But it obviously gives you the tease of the SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Bray's coming back as the free.
So
that'd be my rebooking. Sam, I'm going to go to you next.
Hang on, this is
Because
the
I
third time I've
fancy,
changed this match.
I fancy Jack might be able to add a bit more context in as he watches the product. So
I do. I watch wrestling.
Right, okay. So mine's 8-match card. First match, I would have Owens v Murphy and Theory, because I think they was Apostles at the time.
Yeah.
Austin Theory come in for like 2 weeks and then
Mr. Theory was quietly
took off because of
allegations.
Yeah.
Came about.
But you can have that, or if you want to change to a 1-on-1, fine. But I thought, handicap match, Extreme Rules, them quite limited in certain ones they want to use at the minute. So you can have that. That can be the pre-show match. The US title match, I would have in the build-up Apollo lose a match, so MVP picks a stipulation for it, and he's going to have him and Lashley fight Apollo for the US. So it's an handicap match.
Yep.
I know I booked 2, but obviously if Theory's gone because of certain speaking out movements, then just have 1-on-1. But the proper show, Apollo v MVP and Lashley. I have put Cedric in Apollo's place if what happens. If you want to book reality. But then you could leave that in.
I've booked it so he's not a dickhead.
No, you can have Cedric say, because Apollo can't wrestle because of, not saying COVID, but obviously the full Nelson. Yeah. But he said Cedric can defend for him. You could even have it subtly that Cedric doesn't fight too much, so he loses it, because then that gives a bit more sense for Cedric joining the Hurt Business that he was paid off by MVP.
Yeah.
Hence why he gets beat.
He shouldn't have to pay him off if he's had it.
Well, he shouldn't, but you could, because Apollo doesn't realise it, so he's got to fight a little bit. So this is storytelling. I know this is a lost art now, but there is a story here. Seth v Ray, I'd make it a blindfold match, because why am you going to say
I don't know whether that would work in that crowd. I suppose you have got the.
But it's better than saying I'm going to take your eye out.
It makes more sense from WWE wrestling
point of view.
It makes that a bit too campy then, though, that feud. That was more
of a blood.
Oh, camp it, yeah. I'm gonna take your eye out. That ain't fucking camp, is it?
No, but
Not really,
He's all
he took
blood
his
and
eye.
guts. He's taking an eye out. I'm going to put a bit of cloth.
All right, and I'm gonna put a blindfold on, but I'm gonna have a spork and I'm gonna beat your eye out.
Stop getting so angry.
How am I gonna book COVID? Bloody hell. Look, blindfold match, because of what happened with Ray, fits with the story.
I did think
and
about
it is what it is.
I did think
so-
about a blindfold match.
And you could still have Seth win with him taking the blindfold off or whatever.
Yep.
So it's blindfold match, deal with it.
He's got very angry
Yes.
with it.
I hated watching
I'm
this.
sorry. That was just my...
Wrestling nowadays pisses me off. SmackDown tag, table match, and I agree it should be both going through.
Yeah.
Other than that, I wouldn't change anything, and I'd still have Nakamura and Shinsuke win. The SmackDown women's, Asuka v Sasha will make it a strap match, and you could do like the Eddie JBL thing where Sasha ends up hitting, because then it gives a bit more heel heat to Sasha.
Yep.
And I do like that match, as we mentioned in the Great American Bash. So why not do it here? Because then it gives a bit more sympathy to Asuka. That, you know, I did all this and I lost on technicality. So you could have coming up from to get the women's belt back. SmackDown women's title match, Bayley v Nikki, 2 out of 3 falls. I would have Bayley win the first fall pretty quick. Then Nikki win the other fall and Bayley get desperate to try and win the other one. Bayley would win in the end by cheating.
But I would be thinking,
I've lost it, you know. The first one was fairly easy. Nikki gets up the courage, wins it,
and all of a sudden
then starts
momentum,
beating it, and Bayley gets desperate, and that's where you could get Sasha in. So 2 out of 3 falls. WWE title, I'm going to say this now. I've got to use Dolph because I didn't bother to look back through who was around, and I just couldn't be arsed. I would make it a 30-minute Iron Man match.
Yeah.
Because Dolph saying he's the best worker when he ate.
Yeah.
So he could outwork Drew for 30 minutes. And you could even have Drew maybe get a fall straight away and Dolph get, again, trying to get another fall or what have you. 1-1 and Drew get the last one right away.
Yeah.
Drew would win, obviously, because he's Dolph. The Universal title match with Bray, I put it as a cage initially, and then I thought, well, the Swamp Fight were too bad, but from what you've said, I think I would make it a buried alive match.
Okay.
Have him to say I've buried Bray completely.
Yeah.
Obviously do it cinematic, so, you know, it's like in the Boneyard. Boneyard and stuff, sorry. Boneyard, he put Bray away, gets him buried, he walks away, and then you can still have the Fiend pop up
at the end.
And you know, carries on that. And I would still have get Rowan in.
I thought you were going to say Road Dogg.
Not Road Dogg, you know. But have Rowan because it works. I mean, you don't want to get Brody because he's in AEW. You've got Rowan. It's like he's
Rowan's got more of the iconic with the sheep.
Yeah, exactly, and they showed all that as well. So he could be the one that attacks Braun with the shovel because that what he used against
a shovel or a spade.
So really, a buried alive match kind of works. So, and if you wanted to do it that he buries him in the bog or whatever, you know.
Buries him in the bog.
Buries him in the bog.
Swirly match.
But yeah, you could have that, and Braun would technically win, but you can still have the thing at the end with the Fiend.
But seems reasonable. Jack?
Yeah. Hello. I shall. Kick off. Viking Raiders versus Andrade and Angel Garza. Viking Raiders win.
Yes.
Match 1 is the same. New Day versus Shin and Cesaro. Shin and Cesaro win the belts. Match number 2 is Buddy Murphy versus Humberto Carrillo because he was getting built at the time. And I don't mind Humberto. Till the fight Heyman, and then he became run after this belt every week. Humberto would win because of either Owens or Aleister Black were going to have Owens. Because Owens was sort of feuding with Seth still from Mania.
Yeah.
Match 3, Bayley versus Nikki for the women's. No problem with that. Bayley goes over. Match 4, it's MVP versus Ricochet, because you stole exactly what I would do. Ricochet comes out, got to earn it. Bobby gets all the heat.
MVP looks like a cowardly shit.
Yeah.
And he's got his belt. So there you go. Match.
Who beat him for the belt?
Apollo at SummerSlam on the kickoff. Well, he wore the champ. It was just.
I know, yeah.
You now have the new belt. Match number 5.
And then Lashley beat him, did
Apollo. Yeah. Match number 5. Randy Orton versus The Big Show. That was happening.
Was it?
Yeah, at the time.
That was the thing.
Yeah, this is when he started.
Yeah,
kicking
this is when he
everyone in
started the Splinter Cell. I'm going to kill legends.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh God, don't mention that shit. He's gonna kick everyone in the head. So this is the start of it. He started with him, then he went Christian, then he went Flair,
and Sean
then
who
went
didn't
into
sell.
And Sean who just sat in the corner.
I'm all right. You bet the eye.
Kick Skinner in
Put
the
the
head.
eye right.
My eye's fine.
But Orton's
You
gonna.
kicked it in place.
Orton's gonna sort of not retire, but there's no more BS after this.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Go and alley-oop your way over to
Number 6 is
Go
Ray.
you with Marco.
Ray versus Seth in an I Quit match.
Yeah.
And the finish of the match is that Mr. Mysterio is all tied up and Dominic comes out to save Seth. And Seth's going to beat the shit out of Dominic and he's then going to take him over to the steps, which is when Ray will quit.
Because he don't want to tell
Yeah.
That's good storytelling. I think.
So Seth would win.
Mm-hmm.
He'll still take his eye out.
No, well, I know in the theory he's a heel, so he would have to then go, fuck you. But he ain't going to do that.
I'd do.
No, because Humberto can save him. I was thinking of turning Humberto, but he ain't going to. Match 7.
You'll save that for Universe.
I'll save that for the Universe mode. Match 7, Asuka versus Peyton Royce. Peyton would get the build. She would fight because...
Did the Iconic split up at this point? They hadn't, had they?
No, I forgot to caveat that Bayley versus Nikki was supposed to be Bayley and Sasha beat Nikki and Alexa for the tag, but Alexa would have went missing. Okay. So
it's important.
Which is Nikki versus Bayley now.
Yeah.
Asuka versus Peyton for the women's. Asuka wins at the end. Shayna, who returned on the Raw before, would return on this and beat up Asuka. And that's the feud for Asuka going into SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Match 8, the very good Dolph versus Drew stays. Very good. Universally credited as a great match with two great workers. And then the main event is Bray versus Braun in a Wyatt compound match.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they did that against the New Day daily.
Not a swamp, because it's the Wyatt compound.
The donkey
or it was
pull
supposed to fought. I'd have it more cinematic in terms of the way Sting and Darby versus Bray, what's his name, Cage and Starks was.
Yeah.
More of a fight with Bray's promos because he's so good at that. They fight through the compound. Alexa Bliss is in the compound because she was kidnapped by old Bray.
Bloody kidnapping
Kidnapping women. Like an old shanty, bloody old time villain with a twiddle in his moustache. Tied to a train track. And then the train, Braun, comes along and he goes... and he
Where's the back controller?
He's going to beat the shit out of Bray. He's going to save the girl. He's going to walk off with Alexa, and then Bray, wherever he's killed, because obviously he's killed, becomes the Fiend.
Is Alexa going to turn around like Michael Jackson in Thriller?
I'm actually a heel. No, because that's going to lead to Alexa turning on him. But it is the story arc of he's beat cuddly television child Bray, then he's beat old Bray, and then he's going to
can he beat the Fiend?
Which I like.
Yeah, there you have it though. If you feel that you could have rebooked Extreme Rulez Horror Show better, let us know now on our website, which is www.bettercallcreative.com, on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/BCCpod, or our Twitter page, which is @BCCpod. Give us a like and a follow there. We round out the episode, as we always do, with tedious links aplenty. We are doing a fantasy card, all to do with eyes. So, yes, it's a very tedious links to wrestlers that have some link, or
have eyes.
Yeah, they have eyes. That could be it. That could be the link. But yes, we took the eye for an eye gimmick, and we went mental with it. Jack, as you rounded out our rebooking, I'm going to ask you to start off our fantasy card.
Match number 1, Eddie Edwards.
No, because that's when
Sammy Callahan hit him in the eye with a bat.
Oh,
when he went to hit the
yeah.
chair, he smacked him in the eye instead.
Yeah, so he had his.
And then he got cancelled for a week.
Yeah.
I'm offended by this.
Fucking piece of shit.
Piss off.
Versus Angry Man versus Brian Myers.
Yeah.
Who's Kurt Hawkins, who at the moment has an eye patch
Yes.
because he's doing a similar gimmick.
Yeah.
And I'll put over Eddie Edwards.
Well, my first match is very much more tedious than that. My first one is IRS.
My God, you have genius.
Versus Nick Buck Wink.
I like that.
Got a wink, a wink and an eye.
Does he have to wink all the way?
It's like the chicken and the egg. Which comes first, the eye or the wink? I'm going to put over the wink.
Jesus.
Right, I'll give this one out of the way now. It's Seth v. Ray because I couldn't bother to think of another match. So fuck it. Let's have that match.
And who wins?
Ray this time.
Ooh.
In an eye for an eye match, I assume.
Yeah, why not?
My next match is a triple threat. It's Jake Roberts, who was blinded in one eye by Rick Martel, versus Midian, who had a glass with an eye in it.
Yes.
Man, I'm lost. Forgot a lot of these now.
Versus Matt Seidel, who always goes on about his third eye in the middle of his head.
See,
So this is the problem when you don't watch wrestling.
Midian, eh? Ignorant.
No,
I know you'll have Midian.
Matt Seidel, bollocks.
Yeah, Matt Seidel maybe, but I'll put over Jake. Because he's got to run away from him.
Well, it shows the tediousness of my card because my next match isn't even real. It's Jacob Goodnight versus One-Eyed Jack from Monster Wrestling. Because he had one eye. He was a cyclops. Well, exactly. And I'm going to put over... I think he should have 100% record in these. And I don't think we'll use him again. So I think I'm going to put over One-Eyed Jack.
I can't wait till we can shoehorn him in every episode.
So I actually stuck with wrestling for a change.
Well, he's a monster wrestler.
Yeah, exactly.
He is a wrestler.
So my next match is Dexter Loomis, because I keep going on about his weird eyes, versus Kane, because that was his gimmick for 2006, that I will pluck out your eyes, and I will go with Kane, because I think he would have won the match between Seth and Ray, but we're plucking out their eyes.
That's true, yeah, that would have been better actually if he'd have just come with a dirty knee.
Dirty fingernail. We won't say what he'd have done in the cage with him.
My next match, match number 3, is Luke Harper, who had the eye Titantron.
Yeah,
that was I can't believe
versus Dominic Dijakovic, aka
Feast Your
Eyes, in Retribution, because he does Feast Your Eyes.
Yeah.
And that was a match on When Worlds Collide, which was very, very good. And I put over Luke.
Oh yeah, it was when it was the
at the Access.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that the first one they did?
No, I think it was the second.
Yeah, hell of a
Stay
match.
Velveteen Dream were like a Troy show.
Can we mention him?
What happened? I was going to say, is he gone now? Then?
No, he's still around.
It's sort of disappeared for a bit because he keeps showing his penis. The kids still
Yeah.
Stop showing your cock off.
Yeah, he's pulled his pants up now.
By this point, he might have been released.
God almighty, I can't believe
in July.
I could have had.
We're only in April.
I could have had Midian. I could have had
I
Blue
can't believe
Car.
we ain't got Midian.
Some of these as well are terrible. So my next match. No, I like. I'm sticking to me card. My next match is a tag match. It's Jake Roberts and Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins and Rick Martel. Mix and match. The eyeball matches, and I'll put over the heels. I think the workhorses of the match.
My next match is Terry Funk, because he always did that my eye gimmick, where Jerry Lawler and I think in ECW his eye got always knackered, versus Vader, who literally had his eye fall out in Japan.
I can't believe I missed
And
that.
I'm putting over Vader.
Nah, what a
because
match.
he just put it back in and beat the shit out of Stars.
You've had worse
already
cards.
broke his nose.
You've had worse cards when you've had a lot more to pick from. Your card so far actually sounds quite good.
And I did this yesterday after watching the show yesterday. So
no tarring of Paul Bearer going on in this card.
No pink paint here.
No pink paint. No mustard.
Match number 4 is Kane and the Hurricane. Kane is blind in one eye, apparently, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Hurricane had to finish the eye of
The eye of the Hurricane.
I thought of him, but he's too tedious.
Versus Eye Patch Group, Jean-Pierre Lafitte and Scotty Riggs.
So I was right.
Yeah.
What do you mean you was right?
The PCO would appear.
Oh, fuck yeah, actually. I
Every-
didn't even think of that.
Yeah, you bastard.
Yeah, but I use PCO.
I'll use PCO.
Kane and Hurricane go over. Love it.
Yeah. My next
Ruined
match.
that.
Yeah. Well, my next match is really, really tedious. It's a pupil on a pole match between the two teachers of WWE, Dean Douglas and Matt Striker, obviously. They've got to win a pupil.
They have pupils.
Yeah.
So is it actually a child?
Yeah,
Or is
yeah.
it the
No, it's a child who is a pupil. A child on a pole.
child hanging on a pole.
Sounds amazing to me.
So this isn't really to do with an actual eye.
It's pupil.
It's to do with the interpretation of the English language. That's
Well,
what your card is.
I didn't think too much about this one. It's very tedious.
You come up with it.
The next one is even more tedious.
Gary Glitter does a run in at
No.
Steals the child. He's got eye in his name.
Yeah,
so.
Rolf Harris goes over. So,
Okay.
Sorry, Pete.
Right.
Don't cancel us.
Right, my next one, Luke Harper,
Yeah.
again with his eye thing, versus another one who had the eye Titantron, Danny Basham, or the Damager.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he had the other thing.
Yeah, when he was on Heat.
When he was on Heat.
Weird, I have an eye.
The eye, and they split it, and he had the thing, but I don't know if he was called the Damager or Danny Basham. So I know Damager was his initial
He was
one.
still Danny Basham.
He was still Danny
but
Basham.
He had a weird...
But I put Damager, so that one. No problem, Luke Harper.
We'll never do a podcast on him.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
With his one
don't
match.
know how tedious we are. What's the fantasy card of that? Jack. Sub
Oh,
main
yeah,
event.
big sub-main event is Cyclope
Yeah.
versus
Oh, I put that in.
Cyclops. Now, if you've never seen
No.
Cyclops, he was in Memphis Wrestling, and he is a Cyclops.
Jerry
He comes
Lawler,
out in
you're a
big
madman.
black suit with one eye on his head, and he wins a 5-minute match. And then some bloke cuts a promo for him, calling him the Cyclops, which is amazing. It's a Cyclops.
Unbelievable.
I love Memphis Wrestling.
Who's going over?
I'm going to put it over the Cyclops because he's probably undefeated.
We've definitely got to do a special on Memphis Wrestling at some point for the
Just
bloody...
like-
They had
Monster
Frankenstein
Bash.
in that box, and they had a fire alarm during the thing, so everybody had to leave, but he had to stay in the box because nobody knew he was in there. There's something on. I can't remember whose
great,
podcast.
isn't it?
I think it was Jim Ross's or something, where he told him about Jerry
Cornet,
Lawler said,
Cornet.
yeah, that's it. And he said that we had this bloke dressed as Frankenstein. The fire alarm went off, but we hadn't revealed him yet, so we had to stay in there. Nobody could go in, so they all had to leave.
Baby. We've got to keep Kate. You've got to burn. We cannot ruin this reveal.
Well, they said as well, they did a similar thing with Austin, with Lawler being run over by Eddie and Doug Gilbert. And the fans had rang the police, and they said, you've got to have Lawler go out and cut a promo, prove he ain't dead. Otherwise, we're shutting you down. So they had to go and do a promo.
I'm not
otherwise they'd be
really
shut
dead.
down.
It's wrestling,
Yeah.
folks. My sub-main event is Cyclope versus Lash LaRue for eyelash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a terrible sub.
Why not Lash Lee?
Well, I did think about
Yeah,
Lash.
Lash LaRue Cyclope is
But-
a bit more of a...
Yeah, you don't, but what I always try and do is match up the styles a bit. You just don't really care. Like, you
Well,
think
that's the
Lashley's
point of it.
better. I want to see Cyclope versus Lashley.
Mine is, let's try and get at least 12 names and just put them together. That's basically it.
Yeah, as we've reached episode 58, we've realised that. So.
Yes, exactly.
And I would put over Cyclope.
Okay, my sub-main event is Midian versus Dominic Dijakovic.
I believe that.
Because it took me a while to figure out the Feast of Eyes, because I remembered him, but I couldn't remember his name. All I remembered, he was in Retribution, and even then, I couldn't be asked to think of his name. So I had to look it up. I knew he was some Croatian man. But I thought, okay, that's him. The Midian. And I'm pointing out a video because I can remember him more.
Very grumpy today. Jack, main event.
My main is Ray because he lost tonight versus Vader because he lost tonight.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good match. And Vader's got to win because he kills everyone.
I can't believe that none of you, either of you, have used PCO. Obviously, you have. But, yeah, versus Watch My Eye. Watch My Eye. The honky tonk man.
Is he going to take a bump?
No. He's going over. He's winning. Honky Tonk is winning. And he's Zeus Honky as well. You know, the new old man Honky. Where he looks like
Oh,
Zeus.
he could have had Zeus with his gonky on.
Oh, yeah.
There's a load of eyes in the rest
Yeah.
of it, really.
Oh, I don't really have time to think.
My main event is PCO.
Yes.
Because he was one of the others I thought I'd be Jake. Because he had that manky eye as well.
Yeah.
And I'm putting over PCO.
Over Jake?
Yes.
Bloody hell.
Because he's legit blind in one eye and
He
he's quite good.
deserves. If he don't go over on this fantasy card, he never is again.
It's been about 50 odd episodes in each of the summers.
Yeah.
He put over Mabel and Mo at 10.
And you can check out our WrestleMania special for that and Sam's thoughts on it. He was as grumpy then as he is today, folks. But that is the Extreme Rules horror show over and done with, and our fantasy cards finished. Also, if you, however, can think of any other tedious, or as it transpires, not so tedious links to eyeballs from wrestling's past, let us know on our Twitter page, which is at BCCPod, our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/BCCPod, or our website, which is bettercallcreative.com. That leaves me to say goodbye from the eye guy himself, Grumpy Sam Chan, saying
goodbye.
And from One-Eyed Jack, the winner of the fantasy card.
I won a match.
You did, saying
goodbye.
Goodbye, folks.
Filled with hate. The ones who suffer are the ones who sit at home and wait. And there's always a reason, a good reason why. We're told it's for truth and for freedom. Freedom to kill or to die. Is there no denying those who are trying to poison our minds? 'Cause an eye for an eye is making the whole world blind. Best left unheard, for your hearts are hollow, just like your words. So the fate of the many is sealed by the few. A better pound to a penny, a bullet will never find you. While the orphans and widows weep in the shadows betrayed by humankind. we live.